per tick?
$10.
Yeah, 10. Okay. I mean, it's already done 100 and some odd ticks today, right? Like,
Yes, it's up 150 ticks on the day.
oh,
But in terms of relative move on a percentage basis, yeah.
it's not much, right? But it is breaking. Well, it looks like it's breaking out of this bottom. You try and short this back to the whatever and then go long?
Until
Wait for it and then
realistically,
go.
until we're up to probably 235.5-ish on natural gas. I don't have interest in a short if it goes through there today. Next region is going to be 239.5/240, where I want to take a short. I don't really have anything on ES right now. Gold, maybe in an hour. What time is it? Maybe in 36 minutes. I'll have a potential short opportunity on gold depending on what occurs at cash open. Missed my short during Globex session on Ultra Bond.
What happened? What's going on? Don't forget to check off your duck list before you guys take a trade. Damon, we'll talk about your duck list later. Dave, you can do it later. It's almost open. Peter and stuff. You can do it later. But just keep that in mind, right? Like you should know roughly about what your duck list is. Right, it's just something I'm helping them on. Hmm. It's essentially just a checklist, right?
I'll be back in a moment. Hold on.
That
Well,
was right
yeah.
down to the last minute
Good luck.
for the daily active. NQ is just kind of going down here.
That's quite interesting.
Down and up, I guess. It's a pretty big push there. It's like a interesting candle.
Yep. Don't get faked by that. I don't think that's yet.
Oh, that's an interesting little bit there, eh?
Yeah, I don't think that's a breakout to the upside. I don't think so. But if you see something different, do what your system says. What does spec say? 35, right? Yeah.
What he said? 30. I thought he said 31, but
No, he said
Dude, because of the order block on the 1 hour on Thursday. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
what number are those specs?
It's from 35 to 24. See that order block and see how there's like a swing low? That's liquidity. That's just what I'm looking at. And even like I'm like iffy about it. I'm probably not going to take the trade just because it doesn't feel ready.
that's a bullshit reversal in gold. I think.
Look at this indecision.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I had to pull out all my money out of stonks because I got to put a down payment on a apartment.
Why are you moving out?
Because
It's not the
a
best time.
good opportunity to move, dude. If you don't do it now when rates are high, it's really tough to get a place.
But why? Why can't you just stay where you're at?
Because I don't own a place. I need to own a place. Otherwise, I'm going to be locked out of the real estate market for the rest of my life. Because it's just going to keep going
So
up without
when you
me.
said apartment, you mean condo?
Yeah, condo.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing putting it down? What the fuck? First and last on an apartment.
Nah,
Silly.
fuck that.
You're gonna get what?
Paying
like,
rent
what-
is not a valid strategy no more, bruh.
parking? Does it have an elevator? Does it have garbage?
It has to have some of that. It has a parking. Obviously, it has an
Have a parking?
elevator.
No, like underground. Like, is it a covered parking or is it outside?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
It is covered parking? Oh, that's good.
Bex, I'm not sure that's entirely true, by the way.
But it's not
Paying-
entirely true.
Paying rent isn't necessarily a bad thing.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
Not
It's
when he,
just,
no, paying rent.
long
When he has
term.
a spot where he doesn't have to pay rent. Is what I'm
it
talking
depends. It depends on what you want, man. Like if you want to be free, pay rent because you can kind of move anywhere. But if you want to like establish yourself somewhere, then I'd say long term, it's better to own a place.
That's also not very true either.
Really?
Yeah.
But what if the rent prices go up?
Well, rent prices will go up, right? But your mortgage and the upkeep of things. Like people don't realize that a house deteriorates. It just
about.
deteriorates. It's
Why
like
he's
a
buying
car.
a condo. Condo fees cover that.
No, they don't.
They do.
That's even
The
worse.
Exterior. No, they
That-
cover the
that's even wo-
exterior. They cover
That's
all the
even worse.
parking, all the
Harvey,
grass.
stop trying to talk over people. It's even worse because you're paying an HOA, right? And it's a shared wall. The value doesn't go up as much or even as anywhere close to that. So you're just owning a little unit. It's not always the best choice. Of course, it's situational, but I mean, I don't know. From what I know of your situation, I don't even know that's a good choice. Specs.
I'm 25. I've never owned a property. I have a shot. It's a condo though, but I don't know. I've paid rent before, and I'd rather at least see what it's like to be a homeowner. And I think it's a good long-term investment because the price goes up of the house and you can take loans against it to buy other houses. It's a great investment vehicle too.
All right. If you've done your research.
Like the thing is, my dad bought it, right? Like it's not like we bought it one of those units that are pre-built that you can buy before they're finished building, and we got like a really good deal on it. And he's like, hey, if you want to put up like let's say 30 or 50K, I'll give you an extra unit. I'm like, oh, that's great because I don't need like a mortgage or anything. I can just kind of do that.
Yeah, that'll help.
Hey, numbers.
Howdy, how are you?
Good, good. Not as good as you having the morning beer.
A little bit of caffeine helps.
Oh, is it like one of those caffeinated energy canned drinks?
Because I'll be cycling in about an hour and a half, yeah.
Oh, nice. Nicey nice. Oh, yeah, the weather's been so great lately. Cycling is... I biked a little bit. It feels great to do that again.
Feels good to move your body.
Mm-hmm. What part of the States are you in?
Western Pennsylvania, but I split time. Well, right now I'm pretty much entirely a hermit trying to figure out what I want to do next, but I'm considering one of my close friends, her next travel nursing contract is for the summer is going to be either out in Boulder or Colorado Springs. We're contemplating finding a 3 or 4 bedroom Airbnb and I would head out there while she's doing her contract. But we'll
Nice.
see.
That's awesome, man. I mean, Pennsylvania sounds really nice. I've never been. I'm guessing there's a lot
The
of
weather's
places.
absolute dog shit.
Ah.
Oh.
You gotta move
Pittsburgh.
to BC, man, or somewhere next to water. That's where the weather is the best for some reason.
Go ask people in Detroit that.
Oh, Detroit might be an exception for other reasons.
Pittsburgh is the 5th most overcast city in the U.S. or 6th. 270 to 290 days of cloud cover a year.
Mhm.
But why does that matter? I don't see the sun much anyhow. How was your weekend?
It was good. I went biking once, and I'm in Ottawa, so I did something I've never done before. I went to like a tour in the Parliament. Because, I was here my whole life, and I'm like, I should probably check out what Parliament is like, because I've never been. It was funny. Everybody else in the tour was a tourist from like the States or somewhere else. So it's kind of like, oh, we're the only guys from Ottawa. It's like, oh, we're like imposters here.
You see the architecture? It's a beautiful building, man. Renovate that building, Specs.
Hold on. You want me to renovate it? Hold on one sec. I'm looking.
Yeah, it's gonna cost us like, and with 24 Sussex, call it tens of millions of dollars to renovate a house. I'm like, holy fuck.
Where did you post this?
I didn't post nothing.
Okay, I thought you posted a picture of a building you're
Oh,
renovating.
Oh, I'm talking about the building, the what do you call it? The building you saw.
Parliament?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Parliament building. The Parliament building.
Oh,
they're gonna
right,
renovate
right.
it, and then the Sussex, 24 Sussex, they want to do that building. I don't know if you know what that is. Do you know what 24 Sussex? The old Prime Minister's house.
Yeah, I know Sussex. I go there all the every yeah, I know where Sussex is.
Oh well, one of those that 24 Sussex where the Prime Minister is supposed to live.
Mm-hmm.
Street now. They want to renovate it, right? Because it's all kind of run down, but it costs tens of millions of dollars.
Oh wow. It's huge, man.
It's ridiculous for a house. That's ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, I could build an entirely new house.
That's part of their plan. Like it's a historic building, right? It's like
Yeah, and that's
1800s or something
cost,
when it was built,
cost
but-
prohibitive.
Yeah, like it's on the table whether they're going to tear it down and build a new or something or other and whatever. And I'm like, tens of millions. Like that's before built, right? Like the amount of money they spend is ridiculous, and then people have the nerve to say that their taxes are too high.
Mhm.
Well, it's just the way they spend it. Highway bridge. Do you guys have any clue how much a highway bridge costs? It's an amazing number. It's important.
What's-
like you need a highway
What's
bridge.
what's the size of the bridge?
A highway bridge, like something that overpasses the highway, any highway. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, so a highway overpass.
Yeah, like it's only like whatever 4 lanes, 5 lanes wide, right? You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's a big like San Francisco bridge or nothing. It's a shit ton of concrete that go into that. It's ridiculous.
I would say 200 to 300 million.
That might be a pinch high, but yeah, like it's pretty good.
As I reflect on, let's say, when they were,
The Hoover.
Oh,
Dam,
how many
look that
years?
up. What did the dam
trying to
cost?
think of how many years ago this was. The newer Tappan Zee Bridge, which they opened in 2017, the project cost, the initial estimate, I think, was 4 billion, and then it ended up being 7 billion or something. So I was assuming about a factor of 100 to 200 small. A factor of 200 to 400 lower than reconstructing the Tappan Zee Bridge.
I don't know if that's right. So the Hoover Dam cost 49 billion, 706 million adjusted for inflation. I don't know. Damn, I've never been there, but it's pretty. If anybody's actually been there, it's pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's like a big. That was a big project. Like that took. How long did that take? Took years, right? Like, didn't it take years and years? Like 20, 30 years?
Somewhere around there.
Oops. Oh, it took a lot longer than that. It says it took 5 years. I thought it took like 20 years or something fucking crazy.
Well, regardless, Lake Mead will be no more in a couple decades, anyhow.
Gonna be empty? Is that what you think?
It's going to have it has a very similar trajectory to what the Great Salt Lake does right now. I mean, granted, Great Salt Lake isn't man-made, but they're expecting in the next 20 years is going to be nearly non-existent.
Is that just from precipitation, like, or
well,
reduction in precipitation, or?
There are two components to it. They haven't. The first being agriculture, as the U.S. has not altered water rights in almost a century. And the way water rights are structured in the U.S. is if you do not use your allotted capacity, you then lose said capacity. Therefore, anyone in the agricultural sector has every incentive to there is not an incentive for them to conserve water, because if they do not use their allotment, that is then going to be allocated elsewhere, which inherently presents an issue because farmers are going to use excessive amounts of it is predominantly used to grow alfalfa, but farmers are going to use 2, 3, 4 times as much water as necessary, because there's a hypothetical circumstance of, well, what if I need more water at some point? What if I want to expand? If they don't use their allocation, it's gone indefinitely.
Yeah, it's like government funding.
There isn't concern with the structuring of the legislation for water rights in most of the U.S. It's the concern is the present rather than future, because it's awfully similar if someone said, "Hey, in 10 years, it's quite possible that such and such economy will have entirely collapsed. And every single day or every year you are given X amount of dollars." People are most likely going to spend that money because there isn't much of an incentive for them to keep it if they know that they're going to lose it at some point or another if they don't spend all of it. They have to allocate all their resources to prevent the possibility of it being lost. It makes no sense, but that's how water rights in the U.S. are structured.
It does make sense. Well, it makes sense to me because, like, it's like people with their wallet. You like, let's just say you have $100. You don't put it in your wallet. You're gonna be nowadays it's a little different because of you can swipe your card. Let's just say, like, if you don't put it in your wallet, like, say you don't put your card in your wallet, it's way harder to spend that $100 if you don't have it like right in front of your face. Usually, is what I'm saying. Like, it's just easier to spend it if you have it right there. You're like, well, fuck. If it's not allocated to a different, count or whatever, like say it's the 401k or whatever. Like once you put that $10 away, it's gone, right? Like you don't have to, if it comes off your paycheck. That's all I'm saying. It's harder to spend it if it's not in plain sight, right? People tend to spend
Yes,
reasonable
although
spending. I don't even know why, but they do.
yes, although this would be a premise of you put $100 in your bank account. If you don't spend all $100, the government comes in and takes whatever's remaining in there. It's forever gone.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So they just
Uh,
you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna spend it.
Yep. That's one of the reasons for the degradation and ecological state of the Great Salt Lake, along with an amalgamation of other factors. But that's a main contributing factor where I believe over the previous 20 years, there's been about a 60% reduction in the surface area of the Great Salt Lake.
Good.
Right.
I don't know where that. I remember seeing something like that though. Like the diameter of it or whatever is also like the
Let's see.
cut way back. Yeah. Did you end up Did you end up restarting those that multi account thing that you had going on, or did you just stop with that?
With Apex, I might restart it because I have another strategy in the works as well. However, I will not use Bolinox at the moment. I was reading through terms and conditions. They don't explicitly say this. I had to inquire with a couple individuals. If you have 11 accounts, Bolinox requires that, and you pass all 11 with a copy trader. All 11 accounts are then transitioned to a performance account. You have to achieve the minimum drawdown on each of those accounts before they convert another to a master account. Therefore, you pretty much have to trade each account independently once you pass the quote unquote combine, which could take months to have 11 master accounts versus Apex. You pass 20 before you pass 20 combine accounts, all 20 of those accounts go to a performance/master account. Bolinox.
Yeah, okay. So when you say performance / like a funded account, is that right?
Yeah, a quote unquote funded account. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. You'd have to, with the Bolinox, you'd have to do it 20 times. With the Apex, you only have to do it the one time.
Yes, with Bolinox, you could trade all the combines independently. Or sorry,
What the hell is the point then? That's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is. You would trade all of them with a copy trader initially, and then individually, you would have to bring the funded account above the, let's say, $50,000 threshold to then have the opportunity to convert one of your other accounts to a funded. Apex, it's one and done. If you pass all 20 with a copy trader, great. All 20 of them then become a quote unquote funded account. I hate the term funded account.
That's whatever. It's the terminology that's being used, right? So
yeah, it's realistically an actual prop shop will give you a generous prop shop will give you a 30 to 50% split. That's considered generous.
what does Apex give you?
Apex and Bolinox give 90% of the payouts. And when I say actual prop shop, as in legitimate small quant shops that are seeking to allocate capital to quants or systematic traders or small PMs. And when I say allocate capital, I'm referring to 20, 30 million they're willing to allocate to strategies. Then the P&L split is often 30 to 50%. As I'm right now working with one of the headhunters that I've used in the past as I'm looking for decent bit of capital for allocation to one strategy that's a bit more capital intensive than I would like. And I'm often encountering the most generous I've seen is about 50% P&L split. Another is about 35% P&L split.
But they're putting everything to, like, they're risking everything. Anything really except for your strategy. What are you bringing to the table other than your strategy? Like, I don't know.
Pretty much strategy. It's one of the.
It's fine. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, like, I kind of agree with their side of the coin. Like, I'm like, well, fuck, guy. Like, what are you? I'm putting up all the money. Like, what are you?
Well, with one of the groups has recently received a pretty sizable investment from a VC group, and often what's not discussed about actual prop trading is there are specific liquidity requirements there are specific capital allocation requirements daily, which must be deployed to fulfill the requirement by the, let's say, funding group. As if the group gave them, I think it was $350, $400 million. They have to have most of that money deployed on a daily basis into trades, which is why they try to find strategies to which they can allocate and then give a 30 to 50% P&L split after they do their due diligence. And when I say due diligence, live audited results to ensure that everything is accurate. And the firms that are offering a lower percentage P&L split are going to often provide IP retention. IP retention is my primary concern.
What are you talking about? I'm done.
Intellectual property retention as the one firm
or whatever they want it.
That's the higher P&L splits. So let's say the upper end of the echelon of about 50%, they don't allow for IP retention. Therefore, if they allocate capital to you, you lose some of the rights to your strategy / intellectual property. And if you wanted to transition to a different firm or start your own small property
contract with you can't well, I can't remember. There's a special contract for that. It's like you won't take what you've learned from this company and take it to another company. I've read.
It's a contingency non-compete, but it also the IP retention is what's most important. And I'm more concerned about IP retention than anything else, because if someone says, "Hey, we're willing to give X allocation for you to continue to run this at larger size," I'll take a 35 P&L split because I'm not having to front 8 figures.
It's actually like you're kind of getting you're getting a bunch of money. You're going to get something almost like it's not for free, but it works, right? You know what I mean? Like they're putting up the money, so that's where the growth would be, right?
Well, they also offer a guaranteed base and guaranteed bonus, which isn't even close to comparable to the potential upside with P&L splits, but they offer
a little security, I suppose, right?
A bit, since some of the traders don't want to be allocating any of their own money to strategies. Thus, it's pretty common to see 150 to 200K base, and then about 75 guaranteed bonus.
What's happening? What the hell was that? What time is it? What the fuck is going on here?
That was risky. He was actually.
It's pretty big, dude. 1,000 lots in 1 second.
You're not. Yeah. Are you saying you're not trading 900 lots?
I said 3,000. That's a lot different. That's a lot different, man. 3,000. That's quite a fuck.
Well, he was at nearly 1,000 lots in November, December. He must have scaled to 3,000 by now.
Brought to you by the little letter V or letter U, whatever, letter V.
The amount of money in escrow you would require to be trading 2,000 lots is well over 60 million in escrow with a broker to be trading.
60 million for one tick of loss.
Yeah, 60 million.
Call, right?
60 million, because it's often going to be once you're, depending on your broker, and you're probably going to be using either Advantage, Dorman, Phillip, if you are trading pretty decent, something that large. Yeah, it's going to be Phillip or Advantage, most likely. But anyhow, they're gonna want at least CME maintenance margin in escrow per contract traded once you're above a certain threshold. And if you're trading 2,000 lots, well, it's going to be more than CME maintenance margin required to fully hedge their potential risk due to the notional value of that. Anyone that's claiming exorbitant lot size, all you have to ask them is, so how about escrow? And see what they say.
Oh, Saudi Prince covers it for me, so I'm pretty good.
So actually, whenever oil has a price slips, it's often because the many individuals in the Saudi royal family have gone to use the restroom and their child accidentally clicks a button. That's why price slips. They're on the toilet while their kids are playing.
Minecraft and click the button by accident.
Okay. I might be looking for a short on gold now that it's 10 o'clock at between about 2012 and 2014. It's quite possible that I might not have that if it continues dumping, but price comes back into there and I have confirmation, I will be looking for a short.
It's 2012 flat, or are you a little bit of a range there? Or?
2012 5 to 2013 8.
Okay, so the opposite side of that. Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
And let me.
Right on. Cool.
I probably won't have anything else printing. What time is it? Until. Not going to have anything on crude. I don't know. Not until at least 12:10 on ES and NASDAQ.
10, like as in the times?
Yeah, 12:10. 12:10. I really won't have confirmation of. I usually until around then.
To pry, but why 12:10? Like, what do you?
I like to separate the session into 3 equal portions, and that's 130 minutes per.
Okay. Interesting. E equals, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so we're closer, or sorry, we're for your first block, like say third to the finish of it than we are to the beginning. Does that make a difference?
Not all too much. It's I need for that zone to close because granted, this is I'm not entering it. It's once I have confirmation of that zone that if a zone prints, as well as then price enters the zone with the adequate directional bias, then a position is taken. But until those criteria are fulfilled, I have nothing. I'm just a monkey sitting at a screen, reading, and trying to learn a new library for Python. That's about it.
Trying to learn a new library, is that what you said?
Yeah, for large language models, there's a library called LangChain, which makes using large language models a fair bit easier.
Sorry, I'm kind of dumb. What a library is a list of like.
A library is an extension of a language, of a programming language that allows you to more easily integrate. Let me think of a better way to explain this. A library is an extension of a whatever programming language that you choose, and it's going to be often library. The library is going to be determined by the language. But let's say if you're not using one of the libraries, you have to fully build the back end. The libraries are, in most circumstances, pre-configured components, which allow you to only write one line of code as opposed to having to write 20 lines of code, because the library already has constructed the back end in most circumstances to what you need. A good example would be OpenAI's APIs. For me to build a large language model, that would be realistically anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 plus lines of code. But because OpenAI has libraries that I can use, I can call their text embedding library. I can import their text embeddings with one line of code as opposed to having to construct all of it by myself. So when someone says they are using a library, it implies it's a pre-existing built backend, and all you have to do is import the library they created.
I get what well, I don't get it, but I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Okay. This better analogy.
I kind of,
It's boxed cake mix.
Sure, exactly. Instead of making single add this much flour, add these eggs, yeah.
It's ready to go to use. You don't have to worry about ratios, constructing it. It's fully functional. It simplifies your life.
Is there like maybe this is a question, but how many libraries are there for?
Oh God, for Python?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot.
Anyone can create a library more, but the use cases, it depends, but the most popular libraries, there are tens of thousands of libraries for Python. But the most ubiquitous, I would say probably 20 of them are going to be completely ubiquitous across, if you speak to someone that uses Python frequently. 15 of them are going to be quite familiar.
15. Okay.
I will, Jazzer, if you're doing anything with large language models, this video is superb. Really good.
How did you find that video? Did you just type in like the YouTube?
Most of my time I spend on YouTube, and recommendations are predominantly for right at the moment, due to the amount of content I'm consuming, is 50% of the recommendations are for large language models and tutorials on large language models. That's how I've come across most of the content. Let's see. This is what here's another one of his videos. It's probably 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes, if you can easily replicate, he has a notebook attached to this, but here's a very good use case, is being able to have a conversation with a PDF or a book where you can ask it explicit questions, and then due to the text embedding, that's one of the libraries being used. LangChain now has a text embedding library, or they refer to it as LangChain vectorization. But you can have a full conversation with a book PDF file where you ask it explicit questions, and then it generates a response entirely based on your question that would be unique to the book that's being read, or PDF file, or whatever.
Is that new? Like because of the ChatGPT AI kind of thing, or is that not new?
It from a consumer.
That's a really cool. I mean, like
from a consumer
book,
perspective.
Let's say it was the Bible. You could ask the Bible. It's cool.
From a consumer perspective, it is retail/consumer. It is new because in the past, the amount of processing required, the amount of compute power required to run this locally, was entirely cost prohibitive. And having access to exceedingly cheap models through OpenAI has facilitated the use of pretty much anyone doing this. There are a couple other models. Let me. Oh, why can't I find this? Called ChatGLM, and or let me also do this. Then there's if you want to refer to it as open source, kind of, but there is another but research group that created ChatGLM, and ChatGLM is a large language model which can be run locally on consumer grade hardware. That's still pretty accurate, rather than having to outsource that to OpenAI's models and pay for it. One of them is 6 billion parameters, the other is 130 billion parameters, and you can run that locally rather than leveraging OpenAI's libraries. But there are quite a few different large language models out there.
You say like consumer grade hardware, that's just like not having like big towers of
consumer grade hardware, let's say, I think ChatGLM 6B can be run on a NVIDIA 2080 Ti, which is now 3090 Ti 4. That's 3 generations old hardware. You could be running that locally. Ideally, you'd want something more powerful, but the ability to be running a large language model with only a 2080 Ti is pretty impressive, and the accuracy isn't all too bad. Obviously, it's not going to compare with the number of parameters that you have with ChatGPT or with GPT-4, because I think GPT-4 is using 6 or 7 trillion parameters.
A trillion?
Yeah. And the fact that you can run 130 billion chat GLM model on locally with up to a 2080 Ti, or the minimum requirement being a 2080 Ti is pretty impressive.
Now you got that kicker bike thing. Do you have a road bike? Like, you actually have a road bike, right?
Yeah, I do. I have
Do you
a
ever do you use it? Not much, or
when the weather is nice, yes. As I
like
this
when it's like
weekend,
hot as fuck out? Do you really want to be using it?
if there's a breeze, that's fine. But I try to, when the weather is nice, I'll often ride 60 to 70 kilometers inside and then go log 100 kilometers outside or so.
Heard of this guy, the Liver King? Just saying that he does it. He does like this cage. He has to train for X amount of hours. Rain, shine, something like that. He sleeps on wood or something. Apparently, he does no steroids. Like I can't see it. But
Yeah, no, that it was, he had blood work, which was released that was readily apparent using copious amounts of exogenous hormones in some of over $15,000 a month worth of.
1,000 a month?
He has,
It's a lot
I
of
don't,
drugs.
I don't
care
know
what
the
drug it
exact
is. That's a lot
amount,
of
but
drugs.
it's the company that he sold was for when he was not primal was a couple $100 million. He has a lot of money.
What was the company? I don't know much about this guy.
I have a fair bit of disdain for
Marketing
him.
company or something, or what do you?
No, this was before he was primal, quote unquote primal, which he doesn't discuss this, but where is this? It's predominantly his ancestral traits. It's all marketing. It's nothing else. He's attempting to
What is he, a
sell.
Viking or something? Like, what do you?
He's attempting to sell a lifestyle, and if you adhere to my principles, you can look like me, you can feel like me. Yeah.
Nobody knows how you feel. That's a mystery right there. Look however you want to look. Doesn't mean you feel like money brings you happiness. That's not true. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be false either. But
not directly. That's where I feel quite strongly is money doesn't buy happiness, but it facilitates options. And often in life, what makes one a bit happier is having the option to pursue what they want rather than being restricted to, I have to go to work for 8 hours to make money to go on
I
vacation.
agree. Like I'm going to say, it takes away stresses.
Yes, it does.
I mean, yeah, like it just have the ability to be able to, right? Like that's instead of in traffic, you get to go and sit on the lake.
Yeah, it facilitates options, and
I agree. Slim? Why do you think the guy was smiling? Happy to be alive? Under a bridge? Doing heroin in his toes? Yeah, right? He's on a warm beach. Be alive doing my heroin between my toes. So there's a new, I don't know how new it is, but there's a new drug that's with the fentanyl and all that, sort of animal tranquilizer or something.
Yeah, ketamine. It's
Oh, it's not. It's like it starts with a U. Maybe. I can't remember.
no, carfentanil is 100x the strength of fentanyl, or sorry, 10x the strength of fentanyl. Carfentanil was traditionally used as an animal tranquilizer, but yeah, humans can't touch carfentanil. You can't. It's not even possible to dose it without adequate titration equipment. If carfentanil hits your body.
Here it is. Sorry, I have to write it. To copy so I apparently it's it. They're clear and or have a lot of brown in them. Jazzer. Yeah, it's about fucking time, right? When do I get rich? I'm been this for years, and now it's my turn, right? Exactly. Fucking right, man. That's their to begin with. They always tell you that your cat needs more drugs, or oh, he won't survive without this or that, right? Like they always upsell you, man. The veterinarian, they're the worst.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a standard narcotic with it's a beta arrestin upregulator.
Xaliane or whatever.
Yeah.
It's some sort of. I don't know. It's not good for. It's not for human consumption, so I don't know if that means they didn't test it. Do you know what I mean? Like they have to go through the animal testing, and then they have to go through human trials. So I don't know if they got roadblocks before they got to the human trials. And they said, fuck it.
No, with the FDA process, with stage 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials, it's a drug solely intended for animal.
Usually, if a drug is good enough, they'll push it because they know where the market is, right? They know.
Not necessarily.
The whole thing's a business, right?
Well, no. If it's good enough for animals, that's not adequate because of the pathways associated with, let's say, particularly. This is a bit of a mixture, and particularly with narcotics, what leads to respiratory depression is beta arrestin upregulation. And when you have beta arrestin upregulation, you have decreased respiratory rate, heart rate, and vasodilation. With certain drugs, it's often going to be intended for a specific market, and this would be a market entirely for animals. It's the same premises why they created carfentanil, which carfentanil is 1,000x stronger than morphine, is as an animal tranquilizer. The dosings are entirely different, and the potential cytotoxicity of certain animal or certain drugs intended for veterinary purposes are not viable for human consumption, as well as the manufacturing costs are significantly reduced. A, due to marketing, but B, regulatory oversight is significantly reduced for veterinarian.
Less loopholes to pay. Yeah, you got to pay for the pay to play. Loopholes for them to the pharmaceuticals to pay. Therefore, cheaper to make. No, that reduced heart rate is what the is what they when they mix this. That I guess people that use it, they go right down to like almost a coma kind of fucking thing. They can't be. And it has what was it? It was a big thing. The big thing was naloxone. Is you know how the rep like the
Narcan?
Narcan, yeah, Narcan.
Yeah.
That doesn't work apparently on. It just doesn't have any effect. So they're overdosing or whatever. They're spraying them like whatever 5 times, and they're still not nothing. That's what the big.
Well, it's the pathway. The pathway is reasonably similar to a traditional narcotic, but it's not an opioid, and that's why you can't reverse the effect of it. You have
They were saying something about that. Yeah, it affects different nerve system. Yeah, makes sense. Fuck! What kind of an inside day is this? 40 tick range.
option skew today is really odd. It's
The
been this way
option
for
skews.
oh yeah for the past 4 days since Wednesday last week. Usually, you're going to have almost complete convexity in a curve where it's reasonably uniform to taper volatility. But once we're over a certain threshold, market makers predominantly are going to need to linearly purchase securities to offset the deltas. But as we drop below a threshold, the selling then accelerates. Thus, we either continue drifting up slowly until, well, pretty much drifting up slowly, or once we're below 4130, you're going to have selling accelerate to offset the deltas in a portfolio. Yeah, the convexity of the curve is really odd the past 3 days, which makes trading not great.
Okay, so should probably look at the news for tomorrow. Let's see what it says. We're gonna have to watch that. The Italian trade balance. That's big. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I would say the main concern about it's not that Narcan doesn't work, but the skin ulcers associated with the use of it. Oh. If you're queasy, don't look into that.
I'm not queasy at all. I can actually, since it's mine, I get kind of queasy. I can see, yeah, I don't have a problem watching somebody else's head get chopped off.
And the combination, because often it is not necessarily, there shouldn't be narcotics / opioids in it, but it's being laced with fentanyl, and you now have two components contributing to the addiction, not only the opioids, but the actual tranquilizer causing respiratory depression, along with the opioids. So the dopamine upregulation, this isn't, it's entirely unique in terms of the combination of the drugs. And this has actually been a concern for, in last year or early last year, early 2022, late 2021, there was already beginning to be concern that this was the trajectory of the opioid epidemic, because when China no longer, quote unquote, allowed for the legalized production of fentanyl, more or less to appease international restrictions, many of those labs began transitioning to benzodiazepines, which
A what is that?
benzodiazepine will be something such as, let's say, Xanax, Valium, Ativan.
Okay, I get you.
And then those are being legally shipped to the US. So most tranquilizers are going to be are going to have an effect on GABA receptors. And that is why Narcan doesn't work, because the pathways which, let's say, a tranquilizer or benzodiazepine function is through GABA, and Narcan doesn't interact. It only blocks the opioid or the opioid receptors, but the GABA pathway leading to respiratory depression, Narcan can't stop that. When you pair a benzodiazepine with another respiratory depressant, the outcome is pretty severe. But there already was speculation in quite a few academic journals in early 2022, late 2021, once China altered their legislative requirements for the biopharmaceutical or the pharmaceutical, quote unquote, act as it translates. Many of those labs began transitioning to benzodiazepines, and you started to see that flow into the southern border, which is why it's far more easily accessible. Any tranquilizer is going to function quite similarly to, they all operate on GABA receptors and pathways. But one of the main issues, most legislators have no understanding of actual pathways in science. Therefore, hindsight's 2020, when in fact this was already being discussed in academic literature, and they had received warning of it. Most countries had received warning that this was a possibility due to the change in legislation requirements for China's pharmaceutical act. Since China wanted to incentivize, they would give to increase the size of the pharmaceutical industry to be competitive internationally. They were, any lab could receive government subsidies to increase the production of pharmaceutical compounds, and fentanyl was on that list. So many of the labs in 2019, 2020, or 2018, 19, 2020, 2021 were receiving government subsidies that were producing fentanyl. Then that changed. They transitioned to benzodiazepines, and they could continue to receive government subsidies to facilitate the production of their quote unquote research and pharmaceutical company, when in fact the majority of that is being sold illicitly on black markets.
Wants to rip, man.
Who's rewinding something?
Monk.
It's Harvey.
Someone like rewinding in like old school way, like those
Is it real?
I'm waiting for the mixtape to drop. Oh, okay, that's
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anyone is trading Ultra Bond, but I have a region of interest at 138, 1632 down to 138, 1032. And that is dating back to Wednesday, March 29th. That's been entirely untouched.
Interesting combination of flow today. Definitely don't make it easy.
Hey, at least the trade checks makes everyone not trade. Well, those who fucking
Mission
actually responded.
accomplished.
Well, I mean, you know, if the pre-market plan says, "Hey, we're gonna have a small fucking tight range," and no one goes, and people go, "Okay, then I won't trade," then that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
That's like a
No, you
10-point
I
range.
don't know why, but traders feel like they have to trade like constantly. Like they just feel like if they're not doing anything, it's like they're not working or something. It's like, you know what I mean? If you're not laying bricks, you don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't build a wall, right? But meanwhile, this isn't, you don't have to lay bricks every day to build a wall here.
Trading is one of the most boring professions. Anyone that says otherwise they gamble their money.
Yeah, well, they only did it. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was exciting for the 5 minutes that they played, and then they went home. Right? That was great. Go to the casino. Drop like I mean, like if you have $100, that's fine. But go ahead if you have $100, drop $500 at the casino and see how you feel.
I've always said,
get you excited, right? So.
when I finally when things start clicking is when I thought trading was boring as hell.
That's one of the main reasons half my day is consumed with writing code. It's really boring.
Yeah.
4138 on SPX. Does anyone have the current SPX ES premium?
I don't. Sorry, I don't really look at
worries.
this all that much. Fuck. What's that alert? The Russell. What a sell off.
Nat gas. What's happening? Ooh.
35.
Not the low of the day. Oh, there it is. Low.
Yeah, we're looking at about a 25-point premium. So, SPX, sentiment.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for Bonds to tell me.
So right now, based on current options skew for SPX, this is about a price point where it's about delta neutral. As we continue to go lower, you're probably going to start seeing more selling. But if we remain here, then buying should remain reasonably linear, which would be a slow drift up throughout the session.
What's really? Interesting. Oh, somebody's memeing. Cool.
There's nothing else to do. That's what Bayman does whenever he gets one signal. He shoots like 1,000 shots at once.
You can't help it. It's on semi. Or it's like the semi-automatic button broke off. He's got to, squeeze one at a time. It's really hard when they come out 3 at a shot, right?
Fuck. This is boring.
at
Yes.
0
Shit.
plus 9.
That is funny.
Let's see. What the shit? Oh man, this is gonna kill me.
Is that your roommate? Yeah.
Oh no,
It's
I'm
gonna
playing
kill
a
you?
no, I'm playing a video game.
Oh, what are you? The Counter Strike again?
No. I'm doing a puzzle game.
It's a new game.
Wait, you said nude?
No. Maybe. It's you've seen those games recommended on certain websites.
Like what? What's the websites are you
yeah.
going to?
That's kind of those ones are. I don't know about that.
Realistic gameplay.
Well, do you got VR glasses? Do you use those?
Do I what?
The
I got
VR
'em.
glasses. Do you have those?
No, I've never been particularly fond of them.
They give you a headache or something?
No, I really have. I don't see much of a use slash direct. If I wanted to play games, I'd much rather sit back on a couch with a controller in my hand and be lazy, as opposed to put on a VR headset.
Old school.
Wait, numbers. Based on your answer, you're telling me you don't like to play games?
No, I don't really ever play games at all.
Even like puzzle games?
Puzzle games, yes, I enjoy that.
Okay.
But
That's a different. That's more like Scrabble. That's not really a game.
Okay. True, but I mean, those are the only games I really play aside from Counter Strike.
Play a shitload of Counter Strike.
I do.
What level are you on? Fuck.
It's not a level thing, dude.
I have no idea because I don't play shit for fun. I don't
Yeah,
play any.
what-
of
what
them.
level
I
are you?
honestly don't have any games.
That's hilarious. He thinks it's World of Warcraft or something.
Yeah, that's what my kids play. It's some sort of Minecraft shit, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? This is stupid.
Are you winning, son?
Yeah.
I don't tell them it's stupid. Say it's a.
Hey, maybe based on Minecraft, they're gonna get really, really, really good at trading.
Digging dirt.
Because trading, I mean, you have to think real fast.
Yeah,
I don't know if
StarCraft
there's
is
a-
good for that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a real correlation, but
What's going on here with energy though, and ES.
I'm seeing more of a relationship between nat gas and crude, and Canadian dollar as well. Which fucked that one up. Didn't, I tried to take that short last week in Canadian dollar.
Crude is kind of giving her down a bit, eh? But not. I don't know if Nat Gas is wanting to participate in that. They're kind of just stalling here. Doesn't look like Nat Gas wants to go down.
17. Shit.
I think they're moving it from crude to Nat Gas.
Well, it's rollover for crude right now, which you're going to have a convergence between the contracts. It's good for spread trading the next 2-3 days.
Right. In your experience, how like this last rollover in the ES contract seemed to have taken it just seemed to have taken longer than it should have. How long does it normally take a CL contract to roll over? Like, is it over in a day or 2 days?
2 days.
Yeah.
So
No,
Tuesday,
yeah.
you're going to still have modest distribution on current month versus forward month. And then come Wednesday, you're going to have minimal volume. It's predominantly going to be those settling the contracts.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck. Let's look at the wrong goddamn shit.
I may trade grains the next few days.
You heard about the whole Ukraine wheat
Yeah,
exporting to, like, I think Poland.
winter wheat. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually affecting it right now. I don't know. My green guy was talking about it. I'm just gonna call him up later and figure it out.
I need to speak with my friend who trades grain spreads.
Yeah. It'd be funny if it's the same guy.
Is he in Chicago?
No, he's not actually.
Okay. Different person.
No, he's legit fucking in the fields. Are you looking at Kansas City wheat? Or are you looking at just wheat?
Any product which is going to be traded on ICE or CMA.
Okay.
The software which I've used in the past, amusingly enough, most people aren't aware of this. Bar Charts has one of the most comprehensive agricultural softwares.
Oh, okay. I just missed that. Fuck me.
Oh, bitch, give me some air. Fuck. I don't know if that was enough.
I don't know either, Harvey.
It didn't break the other. See the little bit on the left there? It didn't break that shit.
No, but it's also like NQ's going. I don't think this is right yet. Initially, I was looking at 59.25, but I don't think this is right yet. I don't think it's time yet. We didn't reach.
It's not. The levels aren't lining up. That's another thing.
They're not. Like NQ was looking like it was stronger, and then it looked weaker, and then now it's just back and forth fucking day.
Yeah, no, bonds didn't do shit.
Yeah, it's just it's just a back and forth day. The currency trade was the better trade, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. The way that, yeah. What pushed that was the energy sector.
The dollar. You just got short euro and sterling with me last week. Look at that goddamn chart. Shawnee did it though.
Oh shit! What the fuck happened here?
Did anyone update Retro on what happened to Shawnee?
What happened? Was he banned?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
what happened to him?
Oh, that was really loud and coming in hot. He just left.
I'm here for the gossip.
No, he
You guys
just
didn't
left.
bully him out.
She pipes up real quick, eh? When she's like, wait, what?
Yeah. He just left on his own after his trade went against him for
Oh,
fucking
That short,
50 points.
that short that he was holding.
Yeah,
Wasn't he
like
short for like
60 points. It went against him 60
I'll
points.
never forget it. It was from 41-26.
Yep. It was the
had that
best trade
chart?
ever.
Did he have that chart up the whole time with the
The
clock?
whole entire time. It never showed anything else.
Oh my god.
And I actually was trying to be nice to him. I went in, I talked to him on the side and, talked to him in the chat. And he'll be like, oh, do you want me to stop streaming when you stream? Because he would just start streaming his thing. And I wasn't a dick or anything. I was just like, no, just let people choose what they want to see, right? But what I really want to say is, who the fuck wants to watch the ticker? I got the ticker.
How many people were watching his screen? Did anybody see?
I don't know. No, I'm sure people were.
did you offer him some herbal supplements?
No. But yeah, I was like, no, just let people, share your idea. I'm okay with you sharing your ideas. I don't really care. But then each time anyone asked him something, he'd be like, just watch. Or I know the time and sales of things from a year ago. I was like, huh. I'm like, okay.
He can construct the DOM in his head or whatever he was saying.
I
Construct
wish-
the chart in his head.
He had videos which he posted to one of the groups which I was managing, linked to his YouTube channel, and I still have the links, but he removed the videos, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
It was time and sales data from back to the 1980s and telling people you need to watch this for hours on end and then you can begin to predict price. It's okay.
I would like to learn. You want to send it to me?
I
Unfortunately,
can't believe he just left.
Yeah, he just left. I even messaged him and he didn't say anything. He just left. And I just messaged
You
him.
didn't
like,
even
hey.
say goodbye.
Didn't even say goodbye. No, how rude, right?
I know, it's sad.
Like, what the-
I didn't even get a chance to talk to him.
He was actually kind of nice.
oh no, but he's batshit crazy.
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, like that's sure.
He has a wife, kids. He goes to baseball with. He's appears reasonably normal. Discusses his family life.
What the fuck?
Totally normal.
What? numbers take that far.
He wants to be relatable because then he can imbue / proselytize any demographic he wants. If people can relate to him, they will believe him. He's a friend. He
He's
means
a
no
father
harm.
figure. He's a friend. He has children. He's doing well.
He serves his local church.
He'll also,
Yard sales on the weekends. Yeah. for
Yep.
sure.
Works at the food pantry.
Fuck.
We're all probably going to hell.
we're also not the ones that were selling herbal supplements, so I'm fine. I don't have.
I'll be right back.
If heaven means I'm gonna see him selling, yeah, I'd be fine not being there.
Selling Tupperware, selling Tupperwares or something.
Uh,
I don't even know if people do that anymore, do
Some form of it, probably. They still have house parties for selling
Isn't it-
stuff.
they? Yeah, like what's the thing now though? Isn't it Is it makeup or what? No.
It's makeup, it's jewelry. It's like what?
At home IUDs.
They don't sell that, do they?
Yeah.
No, they
No,
don't.
Like a first aid course, how to do a
I'm like, wait, do
Oh,
they?
fuck.
And I don't know about this.
If anyone's trading crude current month or forward month with order flow today, you're going to have your face ripped off. I really would refrain from using order flow when there's a contract rollover and the volume is distributed.
That was for crude. You're saying, yeah?
Yeah, crude.
Would that translate over into other products, or you just
That translates to most products. Let's say the first day of rollover on ES, when you have contracts, when you have about 50% of the volume on current month and 50% on forward month, the order flow is pretty inconsistent and unreliable on those days. Unless you're actively going to watch both contracts and then aggregate that. Ultra bond is still dumping. Down 1.5 points. Since previous close on Friday. I'm about to say fuck it and pull up ags and trade ags with. If there's anything even on ags to trade right now.
goes Nat Gas. Nat Gas.
But with how my heart's feeling, I'll probably need to cycle soon.
You're having chest pain?
No, I don't know. It might be anxiety related. I don't know. Occasional.
Aspirin, extra strength, less strength aspirin. That'll thin you out a bit.
It's more or less. Some days there's some supplemental anxiety, and cycling ameliorates that issue.
I don't know, man. We might be getting close, but I mean, kind of.
Ultra bonds continue to dump into where I might be interested in a long. However, flow is pretty negative coming into 138, 1632, and 138, 1232. Pretty negative in a moment.
Or what ticker do you use for Ultra Bond?
UBM3. Maybe I'll look for a long at 66, 450, 664.50 on corn. I don't know. We'll see.
Corn did a funny thing there last night, didn't it?
Last night,
Yeah, last night it did. I thought I noted that when I. Was it corn or was it?
Wait for it, guys. We could easily build lower, just a tad, you know, in the coming 20 minutes or so, and
bonds
then
might.
you'll get your opportunity.
Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was going to say bonds might be in a position to bounce as well in a moment.
NQ's its risk range, so it's fairly perfect. You know, we might just bottom tick that. NQ.
Unless bonds consolidate here, I will not be taking a long. Thought my contractor was supposed to be here.
I mean, it's just a guess, Cosmo. You know, I don't. And let me put it this way: unless it does, I'm not going to be able to get into a trade. So I'm biased, if that makes sense, Cosmo. Like I wanted to break so I can actually get into a trade. But if it doesn't, I'm okay with it too. So I guess to answer your question, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
biased.
so
Yeah.
you think, for example, you would get involved into the trade when the law gets broken?
I want ES to go to the, the number. We're really, really close to it. So if it does break the low, they will be right at that number, right? We're one tick off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I
Some
want.
of the equity names are turning, but that doesn't mean ES can't make a low.
Yeah, I think anyone's guess is as
Because
good.
ES, yeah, I mean, it can absolutely make another low, even though some of the equities are starting to turn. But it just shows more of a bullish bias at the moment.
I do think that NQ, like if you're just solely looking at NQ, it showed it. And ES hasn't, but that doesn't again mean anything.
Right. So the one name I was watching is United Healthcare because it sold off of earnings and it dragged a lot of the sector down, and it's just been flat
It's just been
for a
flat.
long time. It's just flat, meaning it's not selling anymore, and maybe it's already made its low because the low would have been very early in the day by 10 o'clock or 9:50. So if that was its low, then that might be done, right? So everything's just kind of waiting and catching up.
Right.
But again, the index is a different story, so other things can happen there.
Cool. Thanks, Jed. We're actually pretty much at that level, right? So, yeah. I think it was like 2-3 ticks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the futures, it went right to it.
Yeah, so when I look at sectors, I don't look at, I mean, I can look at the percentages like as a flash, but I just look at the action of the price. Like you have to look at the chart and see what it's doing because the percentages can be misleading. But the percentages are like always a good snapshot of. So I do look at it like at a very quick glance, but I don't really pay too much attention. the hell?
And you have a hot mic. And you have a hot mic. And now you're muted. Let me know when you're back. I'll unmute you.
They're trying to push Ultra Bond lower right now. I want to take a long, but it doesn't look as if it's going to occur. What time? Okay. About 25 minutes. I should have a zone print on ES and NASDAQ. Wait. Yeah. If we continue down on ES, I think a good location for potential continue short. I'll have confirmation of a potential region of interest, but at the moment, how it's developing 61 to about 62.50 could be a potential region after 1140 for a pullback into that to look for a short. NASDAQ 13,148 to 13,156 ish. It's a big ish. The possibility of a short crude, I'm completely lost. But we're having a momentary rotation in Ultra Bond, the initial region of interest of 138.1632. Gold, I completely missed the short on gold. Didn't want to chase 30 ticks.
Fucking shit. Protein pancakes, that's fucking annoying.
You can make them yourself that taste far better.
Oh fuck, my mic's on? Shit.
What?
I didn't know my mic was on. I was I'm trying to look up meal plans based on my calories restriction, and I found this cool website. I'm sure most of you guys know it, called eatthismuch.com. But you put in the number of calories that you want to, whatever, and you can generate, and it'll just punch out shit for you.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a lot of these things I would never fucking do, like completely green smoothie.
Oh yeah, it's not necessary.
Fuck that, regenerate. Cabbage cucumber salad, regenerate. Okay, fine. Almond butter. I don't want the dates though. I'm cool with almond butter. So you're an avid believer in numbers that it's just about calories in, calories out, right?
Well, granted, protein is a reasonably essential macronutrient in terms of, well, you're young enough, but
What do you mean I'm young enough? I'm 40 something.
well, you're not in a, you get to encounter or / incur significant reduction in activity of the hormonal pituitary axis. So your testosterone hasn't decreased precipitously as an individual ages, and there is geriatric associated sarcopenia, as in muscle loss related to age, and that's partially a product of hormone production. Then protein intake becomes more important. Someone that is in their 60s and 70s proportionally should be consuming more protein than someone in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, in part due to the presence of hormones. I still would recommend you have at least 140 to 180 grams of protein a day, but it's calories in, calories out.
So you don't buy the whole BS of like keto and all that other stuff?
Keto is all it is another form of calorie restriction, and it works well for some individuals because they can adhere to a quote unquote life. It's conducive to their lifestyle choices, and it's no more than that. As long as someone's in a calorie deficit, they're going to lose weight. It doesn't matter what quote unquote diet they're on. If they're on a Twinkie diet, they're still going to lose equally as much weight as someone who is consuming an identical number of calories. If you do 2,000 calories of keto, 2,000 calories of a Twinkie diet, you're still going to lose the same amount of weight. I would not recommend the Twinkie diet. You will not feel well or satiated, but unless one is capable of altering the laws of thermodynamics, you're going to lose a similar amount. Granted, the retention of skeletal muscle tissue versus adipose tissue will be different. That is definitive. And that's in part due to the intake of protein assisting with preservation of skeletal muscle tissue. That's where, but in terms of overall weight loss, calorie is a calorie. Anyone that wants to debate that can go read the academic literature, and they'll see nearly identical outcomes on drastically different diets, high carbohydrate versus keto. And if it's comprehensive, performed reasonably well, then you will see a difference in overall body composition for those who are consuming adequate amounts of protein. But in the process, through the process of weight loss, protein should be a prioritized macronutrient entirely for the purpose of skeletal muscle preservation. As if you're in a caloric deficit, the atrophy of musculature is going to be increased as opposed to being at maintenance or in a surplus.
Okay. Because I used to believe that, and I'm not saying I don't anymore. It's just, I guess there's such a big push of Whole Foods and, you know.
Well,
stuff like that.
When people inquire, oh, I want to lose weight, what should I do? I don't tell them look at a specific diet. Prioritize high volume, low calorie density foods to ensure you'll feel satiated. You'll be eating more food, but because it's due to the reduction in calorie density of said food, you're going to lose weight. If you have two individuals, one is eating predominantly very highly calorie dense food, and the other is predominantly low calorie density, such as fruit, vegetables, grains, lean meats. One of those people could be consuming 1.5 pounds of food a day and already in a caloric surplus, versus the other person could be consuming 4 to 5 pounds of food a day, but be in a calorie deficit.
Have you heard of the weight times 12 rule?
4 calories.
No, it's like if you use your target weight times 12 is the, oh yeah. Sorry, yeah, 4 calories.
I'm not familiar with it. However, I will say I think the majority of the process of successfully losing weight often requires 1 to 2 months at quote unquote baseline to determine your metabolic requirements in base calories / maintenance. As if someone doesn't know their maintenance calories, it's highly improbable they are going to be particularly successful.
How do you calculate maintenance? Like that's individual, isn't it? It will be different for every single person. You can't just.
Oh yeah, there's going to be slight variation. You can have an estimated range of, let's say, X number of calories based on standard metrics, and you're not going to have too significant of a deviation from that, maybe plus or minus 200, 300 calories. But that process will require a couple of weeks while tracking your weight at, let's say you determine your maintenance is 2,200 calories, 2,300 calories, and you remain on 2,200 calories, 2,300 calories for 1 to 2 weeks. You track your weight, take the average weight from week to week. Let's say spend 3 weeks doing that. If your weight's remaining the same, great. Now you know that's about your maintenance calories. If you are gaining weight, you have a pretty good gauge of this is too high for my maintenance. If you're losing weight, that's a bit too low for your maintenance. It's a several week process, well, couple month process to really determine where maintenance calories are based. But once you are able to determine your maintenance caloric requirement, losing weight now becomes a heck of a lot easier because you know, okay, if my maintenance is 2,200 and I want to lose approximately 2-3 pounds a month, I'll need about a 400 calorie deficit, or 300 to 400 calorie deficit a day. You need to be consuming 1,800 calories a day, hypothetically. But it's highly dependent upon the individual, unfortunately, within reason. And I'm not saying, plus someone would say, oh, I'm consuming X number of calories. 85% of the population is going to be reasonably well represented within plus or minus a couple hundred calories of a recommended baseline for their size.
As far as speed versus the loss, let's just say your maintenance was like 2,200 or whatever. Would you have to drop it by, like, is there a percentage that do you have to drop it by 20% to see significant results in a type of time frame? Like, do you have that?
often, how do I want to be? To see reasonably, time horizon wise, if you were to drop it by 400 a day, that should roughly equate to, and with no change of lifestyle factors, physical activity levels, if you were to drop it by 400 a day, end of the month, that should be about 4 pounds or about 1.8 kilograms a month. And that may not appear to be much, but then when you look at the course over a year, that's going to be much closer to 20.6 kilograms. But as you lose weight, your basal metabolic rate is going to decrease.
So
more
this
weight.
timeline goes, you think it before it actually starts taking effect? It's just first week of doing this, it's not going to yield the same results as the 10th.
Well, starting day one, the results are reasonably, when I say going to be reasonably linear, as if you're in a caloric deficit, you're in a caloric deficit. But it's the longer time horizon. Most people don't have the patience or tolerance for a several month, 6 month, 12-month process. And that's part of the appeal of pharmacological interventions, such as the use of GLP-1 agonists to suppress appetite and reduce gastric emptying to facilitate a sensation of satiation far more easily.
How do you feel about that new drug?
I think I don't have reservations regarding it. I think it's going to be quite useful. Philosophically, I have an issue with it because in most circumstances, individuals are not willing to make the lifestyle changes and they are looking for a solution.
Free run.
There's also the concern of often when one begins to use a GLP-1 agonist, there's a dependency on it where it's not as if someone's on this drug for 6 months. It's really intended that they are going to be on the drug for years, decades, potentially. You now have a segment of the population which is going to be dependent upon certain pharmacology agents. And granted, that's going to require a greater time horizon to determine that, but based on the preliminary literature, there will be a dependency on many of these compounds. And I'm not fond of the idea where you have tens of millions of individuals requiring the use of many of these intervention mechanisms because they don't want to accommodate lifestyle changes.
Yeah, it's just big pharma making another buck.
I don't necessarily want, as I said, I really think it's going to be quite helpful to a large number of individuals.
Well, so is insulin. So is right? It's still a business.
Wait, so is what?
Insulin.
Oh, they're completely different.
I'm saying pharma makes like.
Oh yeah, they do. They make more money than they should off of insulin. I agree with that, but they are completely different. The mechanisms of action and the reason for use, a type 1 diabetic needs insulin to live. Someone that GLP-1 agonists are very similar to, in terms of treatment protocol, to if someone presents to a physician with hypertension, unfortunately, many physicians are going to immediately recommend a beta blocker to reduce blood pressure, when in fact, lifestyle changes could, in most circumstances, reduce the risk associated with hypertension and probably remove them from a hypertensive state. But the simpler solution is, hey, here's a beta blocker, because most of those individuals do not want to change their lifestyle. That's the primary issue. If you tell someone that you can address a health issue or concern through a pharmacological means, they often, unfortunately, are going to pursue that option because, in all candor, it's not overly sustainable. For many individuals to quote unquote have a lifestyle change. I'm not happy to say that, but you tell someone, yes, you need to change your diet, change your physical activity patterns, reduce your calorie consumption, or hey, this will suppress your appetite and reduce gastric emptying to ensure you remain satiated longer, therefore consuming considerably less food. Well, that addresses the issue of the food consumption and therefore reduces the overall weight. There's a decent economic benefit to that is right now about 1.5 trillion in healthcare expenditure annually is allocated to
BCD.
ailments or complications associated with excess adiposity. If you can reduce
Disease, it could be a lot of things. Yeah.
what?
I said it could be heart disease. It could be a lot of things.
Yeah, and if you can reduce that 1.5 trillion expenditure by even, let's say, 500 billion through reducing the overall excess adiposity, there's a net benefit to that, despite on an individual basis. I don't like the premise of being entirely dependent upon a GLP-1 agonist, but I think there is to some extent a societal benefit, even though it's not prioritizing the right means or mechanisms to facilitate weight loss. For most societies, healthcare expenditure is going to be one of the largest expenses. In the US, that's already the circumstance. In the next 10 years, we're going to be at about 33% of GDP, about 25% of GDP being allocated to healthcare expenditure in the US. And approximately 30 to 33% of that figure alone is going to be related to complications associated with excess adiposity. Those are pretty large numbers. And there's a huge market for this. But at the same time, there needs to be a way, there needs to be a mechanism for society, and people want the easy option, to reduce the excess adiposity. Actually, amusingly enough, I'm probably going on a date later this week with a woman that most of her research and practice is in the hormonal pituitary axis for, and it's more or less an extension of endocrinology, but she is an endocrinologist and probably going to spend most of the date discussing exactly this.
I'll figure it out.
Whoa, what the fuck was that?
See that?
I do.
I may be missing a long entry on Ultrabond. Didn't have confirmation at the low. I didn't want to chase price.
Mm.
One more push down.
I'll be back in a moment. In 3 minutes, I should have a zone print on ES at 61 to 62.75 and on NASDAQ at 13,146 to 13,156. From what it appears, probably not going to be able to enter along an Ultra Bond. Already about nine ticks off my top of my long entry thesis.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm done.
Forward month contract on crude is now really beginning to dump. Past 40 minutes on forward month, so M contract, 130 ticks.
Mm, not so much though. Oh. All right. All right, guys. I'll be back maybe later. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna hop off. I took a couple bad. Nah, I won't even say they're bad trades. Just a couple losers. Late day. So it's all right. Anyhow, down slightly for the day. Minus probably like 2R. Made some mistakes, which I'll address later. Anyways, all right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Go only ticks.